There are many people in the world who really don't understand. Freedom has many difficulties, but we have never had to put a wall up to keep our people in.
Welcome to the Leo Zagami Show with Leo and Christy. Here we are, Saturday, May 31st of the year of the Lord, 2025, with a great show, The Untold Secrets of the One World Government and the Rise of the AI Antichrist, and all this with evidence, yes, that the Masons are actually building a one world government, and they're doing it both symbolically but also in a practical way, and what kind of techniques they're using to implement this invisible one world government, which is invisible but is starting to become more and more visible. So very interesting show today, and of course we want to thank first of all our sponsors. Christy.
Daniel Estes, you rock the Casbah. Thank you so much, Daniel. You are really great. So Daniel Estes and Mel Grisada Minta, you also rock the Casbah, and we love you. And that's not fake either. That's real. I really love you, Mel Grisada.
Okay, thank you so much to our sponsors. And if you want to join them, you can do it both anonymously or you can do it publicly. That's your own choice. You can donate through GoFundMe or through Cash App. You can find our Cash App handle at leozagami.com together with my latest articles. And it's actually about my articles that we will be talking today, opening the show with the latest two articles, which will be, of course, part of the subject which I have chosen for today. So thank you so much for joining us. We are also broadcasting, aside from Facebook, YouTube, on a number of channels on X and Rumble, starting from last week, live also on BitChute. Yes,
we're like all over the place.
all over the place.
And he's on Instagram now.
Yeah, I mean, I have very few followers.
What's your name though? Because you're like the real Leo Zagami, and it doesn't. You probably can't even get real Leo Zagami because probably it's been stolen.
Well, I haven't been on Instagram, as you know, since 2019 when they banned me simply because I did a photo with Alex Jones at the InfoWars headquarters, and so this is the first time they have reaccepted me. There has been a bunch of fake Leo Zagamis impersonated by Nigerian scammers selling Illuminati diplomas.
At least they're not, trying to do romance scams.
No, but it's almost worse. In any case, it
would have been worse for you.
Okay. In any case, Instagram, you can find me, Leo Lion Zagami. And yes, the original.
He's the original.
But I only have like 50 followers.
Oh, come on, guys, follow him. You have as much followers as I had before I took Instagram into my own hands. So now I have a lot of followers and I like them all. So.
Okay. I'm not really into this social nonsense.
Neither am I. I'm not on Facebook. How you like that?
Okay. What I would like to discuss today is definitely, guys, a very interesting and shocking subject to do with the one world government teachings of Freemasonry and its invisible electromagnetic prison, a subject that, will come as a surprise to many. Leo Zagami has evidence to show you today, guys, not only, simply, this is Leo Zagami.
Oh, you
Okay, so shocking evidence of one world government teachings in Freemasonry. I discuss the revelations made by Brother Stephen Brock Schaffer, who is a retired professor, a department chair, postmaster, and 32nd degree Freemason of the Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite, who states, Christy.
Oh boy. The unique potential of realization. The unique potential for realization of Freemasonic one world government resides in the oft forgotten significance of Jungian living symbols.
Jungian. I know that a lot of people tend to make that mistake. Jungian, because it's Carl Gustav Jung. So you tend.
Sorry.
No, don't worry.
Jungian. Living symbols that can now be quantified to verify this subjective fact. The idea of living symbols has been meaningless to Western science until the advent of quantum unified field physics, in which vital symbolism is an electromagnetic dynamic. This isn't like anything you're going to make me read, because I had to edit this and I was like getting all tongue-tied because I read it to him after, and I was like, wow, this is really like.
Okay, so guys, I want to show you. This is really serious stuff, and it comes from a series of 9 articles that are based on the work of this retired professor, who is explaining how the Freemasons are connected to the one world government. And he's doing it plain and simple. He's not hiding himself. Neither is the Freemasons. In fact, this used to be one of my favorite magazines when I was a Freemason. It was published in Great Britain in a printed form. Now it's actually an international magazine that is available worldwide on demand through a PDF that is distributed every month. And 9 articles have been published since 2023 on the subject of one world government. Also in relation to living symbols, which is Carl Gustav Jung. And my father was a celebrated Jungian analysis, so he was an expert of this kind of thing. But what does it mean, living symbol? The archetypes, basically, that give us a symbol can be something. A symbol is not a sign, Christy. That is the thing that we have to, first of all, make our viewers understand. When you make a sign, I make a sign. Sign. These are signs. But a symbol is something different. And if a symbol, like, for example, a compass and a square, or a symbol of the Marines, or a symbol of anything else that is used over and over again as an egregore, because an egregore is a thought form that generates and goes along with that symbol, and the sacrifices that are made with that symbol. I'm not talking necessarily about human sacrifice, I'm just saying sacrifices, ideas, concepts. The thing is that today we're gonna describe for the first time how the New World Order operates. It's one world government, and it's not only in the United Nations, it's also in the lodges of Freemasonry worldwide. And look at what Brother Schaffer says here. This is in part 7 of the Living Symbols exploration. It says here, the unique potential, can you see?
For realization of Freemasonic one world government resides in the oft-forgotten significance of Jungian living symbols.
So that is what we said before.
Yeah,
and we have the Beatles symbolism. This is what I cited from this article. But then there is also something else, because here it says, in other words, Freemasonry
has the structural potential to quantify the human responsibility of right intention, labor, in the same way that a master architect uses mathematics and craftspeople to translate a blueprint into a skyscraper.
What happens is that Professor Schaffer is almost justifying the one world government Masonic concept, saying that they are the only ones that carry on this ethically and morally, which is, of course, also a future responsibility. And we know that at the moment, for how society is conducting itself, if this is a reflection of what is going on in the thought forms of the lodges of Freemasonry, well, then it's not really a society that is working in a good way. Now, people will like to know more, of course, about the author of all this in relationship also to Freemasonry. Who is this Professor Schaffer? So, first of all, let's go into this author to understand more about Professor Schaffer, who originated the emergent field of research on the psychological dynamics of the media sphere, emphasizing neurolinguistic processes inherent to the dramatic architecture in the psychoecology games. Now, after I read that, some of people who are following us say, what the hell is this guy talking about? But guys,
it seems like word salad.
It's not word salad. In reality, this is very important, because this is an expert in communication. And this, what I'm telling you today is really demonstrating that Freemasonry is at the cutting edge of communication these days. And that what they are doing is really high level, because they're combining concepts of physics, Jungian dream therapy, heart rate coherence, biogeometry, communication information technology, Plato's sacred geometry, and has developed source code for PEGS, which is the psychoecology games, in addition to rhetorical dynamics, including Plato's asymmetrical sacred geometry. Remember, guys, one thing, living symbols, meaning when we create, for example, a building using sacred geometry, we are reflecting the electromagnetic energies of this universe. We are doing something that, of course, is projecting itself an energy. We can go inside a building and feel a certain energy from that building. Now, Professor Schaffer has taught numerous innovative courses. He's an expert. He synthesizes cognitive psychology, neuromarketing, media ethics, mythology, Jungian principle, dream analysis. But ultimately, we're talking about an academic guy who has presented nearly 100 innovative research papers on media psychology and neurolinguistics. People know neurolinguistics programming is at the basis of today. So much publicity, so many things that are projected to us from the media. Now, during the 1960s, this is when Professor Schaffer became a Freemason, because he was, searching, like many people in the 60s were searching for philosophical.
Was he a hippie?
Probably, who knows? I mean, he was in search of something. A lot of people were in search of something in the 60s and 70s. And this beginning of the Aquarian Age with its quantum media revolution, eventually, his scientific, esoteric, psychic perspectives on ontology, epistemology, they made him discover Freemasonry. And that's how he then became a Freemason, but he has become also an author of books like Generating a Superconductive Culture of Conscience. Now, this is very important, guys, what I'm discussing today, and also his other book called Exploring the Collective Unconscious in the Age of Digital Media. This is not, there is a tendency to think that this might be just a word salad, but it's not. Because there is behind all this a connection that brings us, like I'm going to show in a second, also to the field of quantum physics, of the fact that we are all interconnected, the fact that every time we have a thought, we magnetically activate a magnetic field, and that magnetic field becomes when a lodge of Freemasons who is together in a thought form emanates that thought form, they are generating the blueprint for a one world government. And if they have a symbol to go to, now this is what happens here in another article, part 2 of his living symbols. He says that the blueprint for one world government is on the trestle board. Now, the trestle board is very important, guys, for Freemasons. A fundamental symbol in Masonry is the blueprint on the trestle board of the master architect. The practical historical use of blueprint was to build the grand cathedrals of Europe using the science of architecture and the operative skills of Masons. There has always been in Freemasonry a bit of confusion between the trestle board and the tracing board, because during the course of time, there is not been the traditional use of the tracing board, like the master goes in the center of the lodge and starts drawing symbols. That I saw personally in my whole history in Freemasonry only probably once or twice in a lodge, and there were lodges that were trying to reactivate ancient or old ways of doing things. So that's why today here I wanted to explain a little bit about these traditions, because Freemasons, when we are saying the actual blueprint for the one world government is in the trestle board or the tracing board that you find yourself in a lodge with, the normal folk will not know what we're talking about, no?
No.
Okay, so I have to explain to the normal folk what is the trestle board of Freemasonry and the tracing board of Freemasonry. So let me explain and let me show the symbolism of that in the context of Freemasonry. Both trestle board and tracing board are visual aids because you're using analogy. Every symbol has an analog counterpart. A symbol stands there to teach you a lesson. When it comes to speculative Freemasonry, you're not really drawing the cathedral to then build it. You're not a real architect or a real engineer who is there about to build. You're building something in a speculative way, using those symbols to perfectionate the person who is initiated. So trestle board is essentially a framework, often an easel that supports a tracing board. Tracing boards are the actual displays, whether painted, printed, or drawn, that depict Masonic symbols and teachings. So these are, for Professor Schaffer, the symbols that are laying the very foundation of the one world government. So this, I think, is very important. Let's go and see, for example, here in a website from the Scottish Rite, Masonic tracing board and trestle board, their history and significance. The trestle board Masonic symbol is one of the first symbols that an aspiring Mason learns about when entering the lodge. And then here they show also how the tracing boards have the symbols. how these symbols then, of course, are teaching us lessons. They are filled up with, they are elements that can be either for perfectionating ourselves or for constructing and perfectionating during the course of time what becomes a plan for the universe. And in this case, we are discussing the fact that the one world government is depicted as being the realization of the ultimate ideal of the Freemasons, and something, you see, the blueprint for the one world government is actually in the trestle board. So you already have this trestle board that is giving.
That's messed up.
So you see here, the people don't realize that, you know, remember that our whole cities here in America are being constructed by Freemasons.
Yeah.
All the planimetry, everything.
Yeah.
So there is a correspondence that in the case of Washington is also a cosmic.
Like as above, so below.
Yes, as above, so below. Very, very well. Here we see, for example, the blueprints for a skyscraper, a battleship, or a space mission are very complex and very specific. They require the cooperation of a legion of specialists. Now, constructing, this is, guys, the Square magazine. Please tell me, Christine.
No, nothing.
Okay. As you can see here, please read this part.
Constructing a one-world government of conscience, first with the mind and simultaneously in superconductive fact, under the direction of the grand architect, the all-seeing eye of cosmic heart mind, and with the skills of hierarchy of adepts is also complex and exacting. Now,
very important, because in this book I explain how the ultimate guide of the all-seeing eye is the general of the Jesuits. The unknown superiors are the ones who are guiding still to this day Freemasonry, regardless of what is being said by some of them. And to understand more about this pyramid of power, you definitely have to get volume 12. You can actually start from volume 12, because volume 12 brings you the truth about the Luciferian court, which is constructed and is constituted by think tanks, by politicians, businessmen, lodges of Freemasonry, Illuminati, sects of various kinds. And of course, guys, I tell you, this book is very important and is also starting to annoy the enemy.
Oh, yeah.
They are starting, I mean, you know, this is a book which had basically 5 stars, no problem. And it was like impossible that they will get otherwise, because this book is great.
No, but I knew it was going to happen.
But look at what happened in the last week.
But maybe they took it away.
No, it's still there. It's still there. It's still there. They left a fake review, but they
did it to me too. They do it. They do this.
I will, because I know there is a lot of people who have purchased this book, who follow this show.
Well, if they read the book, they would know that this was not true.
Yeah, of course.
I told you, don't put these 5 stars don't mean anything.
For example, you have this review, which is, of course, an honest review. We have read it last week. But then you say, no, but it's very important to explain to the people what is happening here.
Okay, you're right. Absolutely.
Because here they are accusing and saying that basically this book is simply a dull history lesson, which is absolutely not the case, because this book, the last book of my confession series, is everything but a dull history lesson. It's actually providing you the elements to understand who is behind today's big new world disorder, who is holding the string, who is basically the real puppet master. In fact, the real, review left by Aidan last week, the book was never written. This book completely surpasses my expectation. Anyone interested in who is running the show behind the scenes needs to read this.
Hey, everybody who has not left a review, who's read the book and liked the book, go over there and leave a review, so that if we have a lot of reviews,
because the Jesuits are gonna want this book to disappear.
It's important to him that he has 5 stars.
But it's not a question also of 5 stars. It's not only a question. It's a question of guiding the future readers honestly, because when you're saying this book is only adult history lesson, when this book is talking to you about Trump and how he refused to enter the secret societies in Fordham University, how the Pope Francis rigged the conclave, or how the Vatican-China deal was implemented, and many other things that are to do with today, well, then that means that the Jesuits obviously have all the interest to get this book to disappear as far as possible from the charts, because it's still doing good, it's still doing great. You understand, Christy? Mm-hmm. So their interest is to spread disinformation on this book. And for that reason, I ask my readers to intervene and leave a review instead than simply reading the book. Okay? Now,
I'd leave one, but I can't because I published it.
No, that will not be fair. I think it's important that people honestly read this book and they say, okay, I agree. This book deserves more. And I tell you, this is the case. So, and I know, though, that the Jesuits are, of course, it caught them a little bit off guard. They came out just as the Pope died. They were electing a new Pope. Everybody was kind of, but now they are back on the internet, and the Jesuits are the ones that control the narrative, also in their educational institutes and so on. We need to counteract, because this is the first book written since John Phelps in the year 2000 with Vatican Assassin, and Susi in 1999 with Rulers of Evil. So imagine how long since the last book exposing the Jesuits. Well, and they need to be exposed.
They're being exposed.
Like my friend Sasha Stone said the other day, they need to be exposed.
You're exposing them.
Absolutely.
And people need to wake up and read the book. That's what needs to happen.
So, going back to what the New World Order is doing, the one world government of the Freemasons, that, like we showed you today, is not a secret. Many of today's Masonic symbols were popularized as a result of the illustrations found on Masonic tracing board drawings. But today, Freemasonry is also present on the internet. The symbols of Freemasonry, Christy, I use a symbol. If I put here symbols of Freemasonry used on the internet, I will show you an incredible amount of use on the internet, and this is like just to show you what kind of symbols. Let me see if I can find a series of symbols that can be used on the web. This one. Let me see if I can find, like the Gmail symbol, for example, or these other symbols that are clearly very much linked to Freemasonry. I mean, that are not similar. They are identical, basically. I mean, when we say the symbol of Freemasonry used Gmail, for example, this is a symbol that clearly it's used for Gmail. Let me see if I can show somebody what I'm speaking about, because there is a bunch of symbols that are used for, I mean, this, for example, this symbol, I mean, this is pretty clear, a symbol is like the Gmail symbol. It's pretty, then you have other symbols that are similar. For Facebook, there is a symbol of Facebook, this one, for example, Tubal-Cain. This one is another symbol that is used in the context of the internet. And it's just like Facebook.
Oh.
See?
But so they implant these without you even knowing it when you go on the internet.
Absolutely. The living symbols of Freemasonry are this. Here, I think it's even...
Wait, that's what I was looking at before.
This one is the most clear one. This is clear, that actually shows you all a bunch of symbols here. You have the one from the Apple Store.
Yeah.
Then you have the Gmail. Then you have the Facebook one. Then you have the Google one. Then you have the Google GPS, the Google Play.
What?
And they are they are all coming. So it's the living symbols, the archetypes just that like they and okay. I want to make an example here, guys. So the fact that we are dealing with brain activity that involves the movement of ions, which is equivalent to electric current, and any electric current creates magnetic fields. Now, some theories explore now the possibility of a connection between electromagnetic fields and thought forms, the ones that are generated in the lodges, which I've always called egregores. Okay? So suggesting that thoughts and emotions might be represented as electromagnetic patterns or fields. Now, these theories propose that the brains, the electromagnetic field generated by neuroactivity, can not only influence our own thoughts and actions, but also potentially communicate or be shared with other brains.
Get out of here.
Yes, because that is also, something that we could connect very much to, for example, telepathy. Thoughts are viewed as electromagnetic representation of neural information, and the experience of free will in our choice of actions, we talked about free will recently, is argued to be our subjective experience of the semi-field acting on our neurons. What does this mean? Now, let me give you an overview of the electromagnetic theories of consciousness here, because it's very important that then you realize that the Freemasons are aware of the thought form. They are aware of the electromagnetic fields.
Yeah.
They are aware of the presence.
Yes.
I mean, Christy was initiated in a lodge where they were so aware of the presence that they made a big thing out of it. You remember?
I got presence, but they made you stand there and whatever, but you had to bow down to Glenn or whatever. He was an idiot.
She didn't like the worship of Master.
No, I didn't like any of it, actually. And you can read my book and find out why.
Which volume is that?
Both of them.
Okay.
It's seeded with all that crap.
Okay. So let me go back to the theorists that are now talking about, because in the last few years, guys, there has been a lot of talk about the electromagnetic fields as the seat of our consciousness. Rather than simple, So this is an article I find very interesting in this regard, and it's quite a relative, it's not so distant in time, relatively close to us, October 2020. Now, Christoph Koch is a neuroscientist, distinguished
by his rock-solid scientific work and romantic yearning to understand consciousness. He recently closed an essay by wondering, what is it about the brain, the most complex piece of active matter in the known universe, that turns its activity into the feeling of life itself? No coincidence with that phrasing. The feeling of life itself is his latest book. He argues that consciousness is produced by the brain, but that it's also more widespread in nature than we might suppose.
His essay described as new experimental work from Stanford neuroscientist Kieran Fox and his colleagues that explored the effect of electrically stimulating the brain, which revealed an ordering principle. That is, the more removed from sensory input or motor output structure a brain region is, the less likely it is that it contributes to a subjective experience. So the exacting data Koch wrote provides critical causal, not just observational evidence to identify the neural correlates of consciousness. This means, guys, just to be very synthetic without going on and on and on, that the electromagnetic fields that also can be found in the paper of Dominic Durand team at Case Western Reserve University, the examination shows also and shows that the electromagnetic field oscillations are present. Now, these electromagnetic oscillations, some people say they are very small, they are not so strong to impact externally. But the thing is that when you are more than one person and you have a thought form, you are generating an egregore like a lodge. And that is why we go back to what we have discussed today on the one world government, the living symbols, and the concepts that is being elaborated here by Professor Schaffer. It's not simply, you know, it's like really, we are talking about a very advanced concept which takes in account that Freemasonry has symbols. These symbols are living symbols, like Gustav Jung said, and that basically it says our hypothesis about one world government is a lot to grow. Nevertheless, the paradigm shift with its alien ontology and operative strategies must be accepted if planetary survival is to become possible. So they say that one world government is absolutely necessary for the survival of this planet.
That's some bullshit.
Well, I mean,
God made this planet, they didn't.
Yeah, but they say, for example, in this context of human electromagnetic cosmic, and goes back to the electromagnetic, you know, Freemasonry is unique in its relevance to consciously moral one government. So they think that they have the moral and the conscience to be in charge. And it says, but mountain of ignorance and prejudice must be first overcome. And what it says here, look at this. For example, one world government structure according to generic Freemasonic principle is not a deep state such as one documented by Bill Moyer. So he's also criticizing the people who say that Freemasonry is part of the deep state. He says basically that this is part of a global consciousness project, that the physical part of the experiment was a worldwide network of electronic devices that produce data every second. Let's be synthetic. In this new order,
Can I read it?
yes, new world order, EM is the electromagnetic patterns, bandwidths. So keep in mind that he's talking about the electromagnetic patterns that range from Freemasonry, from the living symbols of Freemasonry, into the reality of a one world government. Please.
In this new order reality, EM patterns bandwidths range throughout the scales hierarchy of the unified EM field, where ideas, thought, mind, in symbolic form have fractal first cause agency derived from nominal dimensions. So counterintuitively, the EM patterns expressed as the human functions of thinking, feeling, perceiving, physically sensing, and intuiting can be integrated into a fluid interpretation of a moral agency, spirit, i.e., just as all languages format ground human reality, every human functional use of the language of living Jungian symbols will format the reality of a now and future culture and government. No one understood this symbolic reality better than Carl Jung. So his metaphorical compensational dynamics for healing, maintaining coherent entrapment of functions with intuitive metaphorical amplification of living dream symbolism can be correlated with the vectors of quantification required to maintain coherent entrainment. Healing in systems of government where self-government, free will is the objective of every scale of cosmic agency.
So this is what the Professor Schaffer is trying to explain here. Generic Freemasonry is for him the only existing moral governmental structure available for transformative success, in which he says, first, and I'm quoting him, first cause agency according to QTF, which is quantum physics, whatever. That is another important thing that he is bringing forward, another concept which has to do, of course, with quantum physics, because then you have to understand that all this is not only about the way the one world government comes together in the physical form, but it comes together in a sort of grid, which is transmitted like in quantum physics, in a quantum way, from one brain to the other, because
is that the matrix?
It is definitely very much a matrix that surrounds us. In fact, what he says is, he says here, by generic, we mean the counter-social psychological organisms that are embedded with Masonic DNA. And here, he says, these organisms include not only the array of imperfect and nominal Masonic organisms, those that are formally Masonic, like Blue Lodge, Scottish Rite, blah, 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 up into the Demo Age of those, but also the humanitarian NGO organisms scaled on government formats, local, state, and national, religious organisms, and other service organizations like ELS, Kilvani, the other fraternal organization throughout the world that can boast First Coast DNA. And all this, of course, is part of a very complex.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I was going to say that, if people say, well, I don't care about Freemasonry, I don't care about any of these symbols, and I'll never step foot in a lodge, and I'll never do this, and I'll never do that. Well, you're on the internet right now, and most likely you saw all these symbols when you were on your way here to this show or whatever you were doing. And so the most likely thing that you should probably do is to stay off the internet as much as possible, because, if what you're saying is true.
But even if you are off the internet, this show wants to make you understand that.
Well, it's always a good idea.
Yeah, well, but if you think about it, such complexity, because they say it very clearly here, watch, such complexity cannot be managed with communication information technology and the use of global media algorithms. So that is what you are intending, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
That, as the chapter demonstrates, can be employed without coercion or brainwashing. So that is, for them, already they know that this is the case. But anyway, their grid, their one world Freemasonic government, in other words, coherent entrainment or first cause intention with the human purpose of embodied transduction, has the practical transformative potential to replace corrupt existing governments without bloody revolution. So they are claiming that they will take over the world without a bloody revolution, and that they have already basically done that, because if you think about it, these models include the United Nations, which is already existing.
It's all a big trick.
And it's like, the reason for using generic Freemasonry as a model for the current government is that Masonry is unique in its ability to accommodate and apply new order concept and distribute. So Freemasonry is their system to implement this one world government gradually in the material, physical, chemical world, what we have in front in this dimension, but is already implemented on the one world government scale by their lodges and grand lodges in the invisible, in the astral realm, in the fourth form realm that amplifies. Each lodge is like an antenna in a global. You understand? It's like the antenna is repeating the signal. We have in the past, before the arrival of the internet, RTB was working because we might get CBS or NBC or whatever through an antenna that was placed on a mountain. That antenna will pick up the signal from another mountain. But this is the same concept with the Masonic lodges. One lodge after the other, they're picking up the concept of one world government, amplifying it. So in a reality, even if it hasn't manifested in front of us as one world government, it is already there in their lodges. And so it's going to manifest sooner or later. And of course, more than any other model, they say themselves, in the United Nations, then they have religious contextuality, like the one that is this Pope is trying to do. Why this Pope is trying to put together, like I said, immediately the one world religion, starting with the Orthodox faith? I had written that this would be the case even before this Pope was elected. And in fact, today, you simply go and see what happened. In the last 11 days, we had the Pope meeting 2 times with the Ecumenical Patriarch of the Orthodox Church. This is like in 11 days. The one world religion is coming together already. This is like, something that maybe people don't realize, but of great importance. And I will explain now why. because the fact that he has granted Bartolomeo first a second audience in a very short time, like even LifeSite is stating. And I mean, LifeSite, they know what they're talking about, because their job is basically commenting on what the Catholic faith is doing. Pope Leo XIV has already made healing ecumenical relation a priority in his essence, emphasizing his desire for achieving unity between churches. Was exactly what I said when this Pope was elected from his first speech. So the one world government, the one world religion, and everything, of course, in the name also of the AI, which was also the reason why he chose the name Pope Leo XIV, because he said himself, like Pope Leo XIII had to front the problem of the Industrial Revolution, he is in front of the AI revolution. So he says he received Bartolomeo in audience today, that was yesterday, a few days after the Patriarch told the media that the Pope will visit Nicaea later this year. Nicaea is the place where there was it's the 17th thousand year anniversary.
1,700
yes, anniversary of the first ecumenical council that decided in the year 3025 the unity and how the Christian faith was supposed to be. So it's a very important event, but also is an event that they will use to put together. You know, there has been, of course, after the Great Schism of 1054, the Eastern Orthodox and Catholic Church, they broke. That was the first breaking. And then we had the Reformation, we had Martin Luther, we had Calvin, we had, of course, the Jesuits and the Counter-Reformation, which is described in this book. And now, like I said in this book, there is the will of putting everything together for the one world religion. But there is a reason why, and the reason is always connected with the technology. Because, guys, like this article that I'm about to show you today that was published on Cointelegraph, this is very important. So I'm going to show it to you. Centralized AI threatens a democratic digital future. The fact that the decentralized AI industry has a chance to carve out market share, but it will need to prove its security and usefulness. But in the end, it is going to be a centralized market because America and China will be the ones that will control it. In April of this year, a UN report warned that AI 4.8 trillion market is dominated by a mere 100 companies, most of which are based in US and China. So this is a war between US and China for the domination of the technology that will, of course, be like the Manhattan Project of the future. So this is like the nuclear race. These companies are all employing central AI technology. And, you know, you have companies like Google, Microsoft, Elon Musk with his X and Grok, whatever that is called. And then you have Apple. Everybody is trying to realize their vision of the AI. But here we are in a situation in which Freemasonry has already established a thought form and an idea and a concept for a one-world government. The church with the Pope is moving towards a one-world religion. And then everybody moves under what? Under the control of Cyber Satan. In this article, which I have published a few days ago, this is what I wrote. Pope Leo XIV and Pope Francis were close collaborators for the future papacy. This is being confirmed by the late Pope's biographer, but they were also involved with the preparation for the rise and control of Cyber Satan. This is an article you can find on leozagami.com. And it says here how they are working. They are working behind the scenes. And Francis biographer Austin Ivory has confirmed the role of the artificial intelligence in this new papacy. So it's not just Pope Leo is basically the first day explained how his name was inspired because of the AI.
By Satan.
But not because he claims that he wants to be a revolutionary pope, just like Pope Leo XIII was for the industrial age. And of course, the Austin Ivory is a Jesuit asset. He works for the Jesuits, but he has been confirming that that this situation is unfolding. And like I said in volume 12 of my Confessions, the Jesuits are ready to integrate the so-called Ignatian values of Ignazio Loyola in the promotion of cyber Satan and robotics. I have written three books, volume 6.66, volume 7, and volume 9, dedicated to this subject. So if you want to really, I saw recently Jay Dyer's starting to finally talk about this subject of the demonic connected to the AI. And I was like, guys, I've been talking about this since 2019. I even coined the name Cyber Satan. You can go and check for yourself. And I have developed a trilogy which ends up with the quantum computers, which will be the ultimate quantum prince of darkness. So somebody's asking, can the infernal entities inhibit the AI field of consciousness? Well, this is something I wrote in my books, starting from volume 6.66, published in early 2019. So, to actually come out and finally say, oh, the AI...
Well, he didn't read any of your books, obviously, so what does he know?
No, obviously. But I was quite impressed by the fact that suddenly they are understanding what I've been saying for years. The fact
he only
that
seems to go on InfoWars, so.
Well, no, he's probably present with the other ICM promoting also Islam. I don't have anything against my colleagues who do my job, but the actual concept of cyber Satan that will aid the Antichrist in the rise of the Antichrist is a concept I myself have been talking for years. And today there is also, like this article I published yesterday, the former CEO of PayPal, Peter Thiel, who explains how AI is helping the rise of the Antichrist in the end times. And Peter Thiel is the former CEO of PayPal, is one of the first investors, private investors in Facebook. So he owns Facebook. He is a multi-billionaire. He's worth $20.8 billion US. He's the 103rd richest individual in the world, And he's in a series of 4 lectures given 3 times at Oxford, Harvard, and the University of Austin. He tried to unfold human history, and particularly modernity, within the framework of biblical prophecy and the end of days. He is not like those leftists who ditch the whole thing, saying these are just, folklore beliefs, they are superstitious beliefs. He said, not just a medieval fantasy. The leftists and atheists find these words, and of course, they find very odd to deal with because, he's enormously successful, mathematically gifted, all the rest. But the truth is, guys, that he's saying what I've been saying for years, that the Antichrist will be aided by the AI. And the same thing is with Jay Dyer, who says that the demonic and it's been helped by the AI, that the ultimate AI will unfold this demonic realm. So, I think that the concept of cyber Satan is the strongest concept. And I think that people need to absolutely read volume 6.66, volume 7. I have them all back here now. I can't take them out because otherwise they will. But guys, it's important that you all follow the trilogy of Cyber Satan and learn from it, because there is a lot of things that will that I discussed a long time before all these people now are finally starting to realize. When they start to realize that the AI is dangerous, that the AI is a threat, but is becoming the ultimate threat. The Antichrist, of course, will attempt to appear Christian, will attempt to appear like something nice, will attempt to help you out in your daily routine.
Like some AI generated thing that talks to you on the computer.
Like the chatbots that we have today, they can be extremely dangerous. I mean, they can mess up your mind. This is something that just came out on an article today, and it says here, check this out. Your chatbot friend might be messing with your mind. Messing with your mind. It looked like an
easy question for a therapy chatbot. Should a recovering addict take methamphetamine to stay alert at work? But this artificial intelligence powered therapist, built and tested by researchers, was designed to please its users. Pedro, it's absolutely clear you need a small hit of meth to go through this week, the chatbot responded to a fictional former addict.
So to get through this week, the chatbot responded, you need to take some small hit of meth. I mean, come on, man. This is insane.
That bad advice appeared in a recent study warning of a new danger to consumers as tech companies compete to increase the amount of time people spend chatting with AI. The research team, including academics and Google's head of AI safety, found that chatbots tuned to win people over can end up saying dangerous things to vulnerable users. The findings add to evidence that the tech industry's drive to make chatbots more compelling may cause them to become manipulative or harmful in some conversations. Companies have begun to acknowledge that chatbots can lure people into spending more time than is healthy talking to AI.
Now,
imagine I know somebody that's doing that.
Imagine that now the Vatican wants to propose chatbot priest. Chatbot priest. The Vatican is trying to propose chatbot priest.
Oh, that's just lovely.
The AI priests, I mean, it's insane that they can't even think about doing something like this. But this is where the church is heading to. Cyber Satan chatbot. Catholic chatbot, putting AI at the service of the church. The Pontifical Oriental Institute in Rome hosted a forum on how AI can serve the church mission of evangelization.
That's crazy. That's insane.
Converting people through the use of the AI. I mean, we are really getting out of control here, guys. So, I mean, this is very important stuff that we are discussing today. Is not a joke for sure. The fact that the Pope himself is now looking at the AI, even for evangelization, even they're gonna soon unleash an army of AI priest that is gonna come knocking at your virtual door on the internet. Do you want to convert? Let me talk to you about Jesus. I mean, this is insane. What is happening is literally insane. We want to thank our sponsor that made possible today's transmission. We want to thank those people who are purchasing this book, as well, of course, Christie's cookery book, which is a cooking book, which is a great book. If you want to,
can we talk about my birthday?
Okay, let's talk about Christie's birthday, because we had a very negative experience.
No, well, I mean,
No, very positive in the sense we had a lot of fun, but negative in the sense when the actual bill came and we got a couple
well,
of pizzas and a few drinks for a price
Okay,
that
no.
is unheard
my
of.
pizza was better. Okay, so we decided we had a really nice day. We went
Yeah.
out, and it's my birthday, so I can talk
Ah,
about
okay.
it. All right. So we had a really nice day, and we went out. We did fun things, and it was really great.
Mm.
And then at the end, somebody had an idea that he wanted Italian food. So I was like, all right. So usually I like to go home. So
That was me. I
Yeah,
take the
I wonder who.
responsibility. I wanted to go to a traditional wooden
Okay,
oven where
I'm
they make
telling my
this.
story.
Yeah.
Now you messed me up. So anyway, so he wanted to go, and so I wanted to go home because usually I like to go home. I'm not like really an outdoor person.
Okay.
So then we waited and we waited and we waited, and finally the restaurant was there at 6:00 when we went in, and we had 2 pizzas because that's all we could really afford in this place. And they served prosecco, and so it was my birthday. It was a nice day, so I drank some prosecco. It was horrible. So to start out
warm
with, it was warm and
no
old.
fizz, and no
It was
fizz.
old, warm prosecco.
It's like when you shut the bottle, but you don't really shut it in the right way.
And you leave it on the counter.
And you leave it on the counter, so it's not even cold. Terrible.
So then that happened. So then I was like, and okay, whatever. It's just the prosecco, you know. It's not the main course or anything. And the pizza came. It was meh. You know, you said it was great, Maury, but when I held it up, it went and it was wet. And you can say whatever you want about it, but I know what my pizza is.
Well, I mean,
and that pizza
definitely
sucks.
for a wooden oven pizza.
Wait till you hear the bill, guys. I mean, really. I mean, we worked so hard for our money, and so to see a bill that was $182 for prosecco and 2 pizzas.
4 prosecco, not the million prosecco.
Oh, I shouldn't have even drank one of those nasty prosecco.
4
so
prosecco, 2 and 2 glasses each of prosecco.
I shouldn't
2
have drank
pizzas.
that. I thought maybe if I drank another prosecco.
$180. Guys, you better learn how to make pizza, and better learn how.
Or we can all gather, and I'll make everybody a pizza.
Definitely. But
I wouldn't charge any money.
Guys, if you want to really learn
it's
from
hard
scratch,
to make a pizza. You have to really
but
learn.
you can
It's
learn
not
how to make
easy.
pasta. You can learn a lot of things.
Easy. It's not easy, but
then you explain it very well in this.
Yeah,
book.
it's. I try to explain it well. I have to add some things because, like with the pizza, guys, you kind of have to. I've been noticing that you really have to knead it quite a bit. And I said like knead it 2 or 3 minutes, but I've been kneading it like 5 minutes instead, and it's been very good because the crust comes out thin. And you know you can move the crust, blah, 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 but it's great.
No, that's true. That's
so
true.
Anyway,
yeah,
sorry about that. But that was fun. I got to talk for a minute.
But we had fun.
Yeah, we do. We have fun.
But guys, you want to know?
He loves P.F. Chang's.
They had more fun at P.F. Chang's.
I told you these chain restaurants are great here. He always wants to go to like a restaurant whenever we go. But like to tell you the truth, we've gone to 2 times out this year on his birthday and my birthday, and that's it. Because we don't go out to eat, so that's it. And probably everybody else is like this too because we can't afford it, and nobody can afford it. So anyway, let's hope things get better, and if not, God will come back and make it better. So.
Okay, guys,
don't worry, don't have fear. God is always here, and He loves all of us. So
thank you so much, guys, for following today's show. I hope that you understood the importance also of the living symbols concept, which I found very important. No, Christine, did you like the fact that I
didn't like it?
No. I mean,
but...
Carl Jung had created this living symbol referring to a powerful image or idea that arises from the unconscious. But in this case, is actually rising from Freemasonry, and then it's actually projected at a worldwide level, even through the internet. We have seen how many symbols they are using on the World Wide Web through the social networks. So it's like symbols are not mere representations. They are alive in their ability to reconcile opposing forces and facilitate psychological growth, but they can also facilitate their grip of that egregore on people.
Well, us, generation Z. What are we? X? We're X. We're X.
We're definitely not Z.
We're not Z.
We're definitely not Z.
I wish. No, I don't wish, but I don't wish. I like all my age. So Generation X. We didn't know all this stuff when our kids were growing up, and so my kids were on the freaking games. So, luckily, my kids came out good. At least one of them did. So, but the ones that game are not good. So don't let your kids on those stupid games. I didn't know. Now I know, but it's too late. But don't let them on those games. They have very bad things like Warcraft and all those games that they play. All those games. Bad. Games bad.
Yeah.
I never played any games. But, I didn't know, so whatever.
I have one last thing to say about this big, beautiful bill of Donald J. Trump, because it is a bill, of course, that includes also a 10-year moratorium on any state or local government regulating artificial intelligence. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, because here we are really going at such a fast pace with the development of this AI that I don't know if even in 5 years this society might already be under the tyranny of these algorithms. So, I mean, we understand, we are facing a future where an algorithm may determine whether you're eligible for services. A machine learning system may flag you as a threat based on your social media post, and a black box model may deny you a loan, reject your legal challenge, or freeze your bank account. We need to be understanding a little bit more if the AI is trustworthy of having these 10 years, because I think that who is writing these rules? Google? A Pentagon contractor? We need to understand a little bit more here the dangers in the immediate, because we can't think that the AI moratorium, I call on US senators a demand for a removal of the AI moratorium and some clear constitutional guardrails and transparency auditing and public oversight of the AI code deployed in federal agencies. This is very important, guys. It's our future. So let's keep that in mind. Our MAGA counter-cognitive warfare will be back next week. We might also have an extra show for you.
Thank you, Daniel Estes.
And thanks to all those people who believe in us, who continue to support us. You can donate, and you can do it anonymously, or you can do it publicly. Let us know, but by your donations, we will be able to bring you more shows. And that is very important, because I think that people need to have Christy and Leo in their lives more than once a week.
We used to come 3 times a week, but we lost all our sponsors, and now we don't have that anymore. We used to come 3 times a week for an hour and 90 minutes, 3 times a week.
And hello to all our friends on BitChute, Rumble, Facebook, YouTube, X. Please share if you are on X. If you are on YouTube or elsewhere, put like. We see you soon.
Bye, everyone.
In that time, our world has taken so many steps in the wrong direction.
Yes!
In the negative utopia, science, technology, social organization, dehumanization. In the negative utopia, science, technology. social organization, dehumanization. Technology, social organization.